I've said it before, you can find pretty much anything you want in Thailand, Pattaya especially. But there's one thing specifically that's gonna be really hard, if not impossible. Now I do want to preface this video by saying this is going to be somewhat of a hot take. There's going to be people in the comments that are telling me I'm full of crap. There's going to be people in the comments that are telling me, yeah, you're absolutely right. So whichever side that you agree, if this is something that touches base with you, it's going to help you out. If it doesn't touch base with you, no big deal, but there are people out there that are different from you. If you're not looking for a controversial video, this might not be the one. It's not that big of a deal, but there's definitely gonna be people that are taking it and taking it out of context and just making up their own narrative. But I've been here for a year. I think I have a fair shot in saying that I've had enough experience here, especially in Pattaya, to give you a realistic idea of how this is actually gonna play out for you. Now, this isn't a knock on Pattaya at all. I still love it here. I'm really glad that I came. That has not changed. If you watch any of my videos, I've spent plenty of time talking about how much I do like it here. But there are things that I've learned in this period of time with my own experiences, and I know there's other people out there who respond to things just like I do. I'm guessing if you're watching these videos, there's some type of relatability. So ideally, I can explain this to you and it will possibly help you when you get here, just kind of knowing what to expect. So if you're an adult and you've ever kind of taken some time to self-reflect and wonder why you do the things you do or why you respond the way the things that you do, which hopefully you are, because that's part of growing up, and I know I do my best to do that as much as I can. But if you've ever really done that and kind of taken apart why you feel the way you do when certain things happen, or why you respond to certain things, or why you do certain behaviors when you're in certain situations, you'll start to learn that generally the best plan of attack is to just do your best to remove yourself from those situations entirely, to kind of not inhibit those bad behaviors or, you know, negative trains of thought that you might have. And unfortunately, sometimes you go into situations and you don't know, and then you come out the other end of it and you feel like you really took a step back because you got exposed to a new situation that made you act a certain way. And unfortunately, this is something that's just gonna happen. But I'm here today to try to give you maybe a little insight before you come to Pattaya that might help you avoid these things and might help you avoid taking that step back in your own personal growth and just your life experiences in general. Now you'll know, especially if you're one of my American viewers, that there's certain places in the world that generally attract a certain type of people. If you're from America, I'm sure you know all about Las Vegas. And now this isn't a blanket statement by any means. Now, of course, that doesn't mean when you go to these places, all the people you run into are gonna be horrible. Of course, that's not true. I've met plenty of cool people here in Pattaya. I've made plenty of good friends. But generally, if you've done any research, you know what kind of town Pattaya is generally categorized at. Categorized, is that a categorized? Why did I say that so weird? But yeah, you know what the kind of vibe is in general. There's a certain type of people that come here to enjoy a certain type of lifestyle, and unfortunately, no matter what you're here doing, you're gonna run into those type of people. At the same time, if you're the type of person that might have trouble when you're exposed to things all the time that you might not necessarily like doing, or you might like doing them even though you know it's kind of detrimental to what you're trying to do in your life or your health or your friendships or whatever, unfortunately, Pattaya can be a place where you can get lost in the sauce. I've touched on this quite a bit, but everybody kind of knows that. It's a big party town. If you're coming here, you already know that, so you're probably gonna have a pretty good gauge on that already. But unfortunately, what I've learned in my time is there is a kind of caveat that comes with this that you might not be ready for, and it definitely caught me off guard, unfortunately. But that's why I'm here today. Hopefully I can take my experiences and help you so you don't have to deal with the same thing. But with all this said, there is one thing that is gonna be generally pretty hard for you to find in Pattaya, especially, unfortunately. So if this is something that rings true for you and you'd still like to come here, please just be careful so you don't end up being a detriment to yourself or people around you. So what is it, Tempest? Tell us already. Well, unfortunately, especially here in Pattaya, it can be really hard to find people to surround yourself with that it's easy for them to say no. A lot of people do come here to party. A lot of people do come here to have a good time. One thing you're gonna run into for sure if you're staying here for a long time, you're gonna meet tons of people who are here on vacation and they wanna go party the entire time, which I completely understand. I'm the same way. When I only have a limited amount of time, I wanna get as much fun in as I can. But when you're here and you're trying to build new relationships, this can make it hard, especially when you're just here trying to kind of live a normal life and everybody's going out partying, everybody wants to be at the club all the time. That can definitely make it hard. Now at the same time, if you're one of those people that it's hard for you to say no, there's not necessarily gonna be a lot of people around you all the time in Pattaya to be like, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. Or if you're building new friendships or relationships and you're putting a certain amount of trust in people, it's really hard for people here to just say no in general. Like I said, this is not a blanket statement. Of course, you can meet good people here in Pattaya. There's plenty of them. They're just gonna be a little bit harder to find. I don't really think that's much different than in America, but there is kind of this rhetoric that everybody you meet in Thailand is just great and friendly. And that's not necessarily untrue, but it's not true for everybody, especially the travelers and stuff that you meet here. You're gonna meet people that honestly don't always have your best intentions in mind. So if you're like me and you're generally a trusting person and you meet people and you're like, wow, this person seems cool, I think we're gonna be friends, always keep yourself at a reasonable distance. This doesn't mean just stay in your condo all day and don't talk to anybody, but keep yourself in a reasonable distance, because if you're like me, that shit sucks. When you thought somebody had your back, but they really don't. But it's not the end of the world, even if that does happen. But if my best piece of advice, if you're coming here, just kind of keep everybody at arm's length, and it'll probably save you some nonsense. So what did we learn today? Well, hopefully we learned that when you travel and you go places or you're in new places, it's really hard to find people that might be on your same wavelength or people that are trying to accomplish the same things as you, especially when you're a long way from home and you've been away for a while. You're always trying to make new friends. Everybody likes to say like, oh, well, I like my time, and yes, I do too. But it's much different when you get to choose that. If you have your friends around and you get to choose, oh, I just want to stay home for a couple days and not talk to anybody, as opposed to being home for weeks and not really having anybody to hang out with and being stuck. So if you're coming to Thailand, Pattaya especially, I'm not saying to treat everybody like they're out to get you or they're maniacal or anything like that. At the end of the day, everybody's living their own lives. Just sometimes people are not gonna look at things the same way you do. And if you're like me, sometimes that can really bum you out and it can kind of set you back. And then unfortunately, you're not gonna be trying to reach the goals that you wanted in the first place. But at the end of the day, you made it all the way here by yourself. And at the end of the day, you're the only one who can make it happen. So being by yourself, not too bad.